we're going to be there. What's going on?
They're having a fight because this has been going on forever and ever. Oh my God!
What's the matter? Hello? Shit.
The last 5 years of my life, I have endured every type of abuse. I was punched, kicked, slapped, yelled at, talked down to, choked to the point of unconsciousness more times than I can count, including many other ways.
Mine is mostly elder abuse and was done by people who were fueled on drugs and so forth. And I experienced a lot of verbal abuse on a daily basis to put myself down. I was being stolen from and things stolen from me, and it was all very, very real. And the daily abuse, verbal abuse, was very real. And I remember one time taking my daily punch of it and going back and lying down in the bed and crying, not hysterically, but sobbing, just realizing that nothing was ever going to get better. I felt like that. I felt hopeless and helpless. And at that moment, I felt my mom's arms, who had passed away in 2003, wrap around me and tell me everything was going to be okay. And that helped a lot, but I still was stuck in where I was at. I didn't know how to get out. I didn't know how to take off.
It was like living with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Deep down, I knew he enjoyed torturing me. He got a thrill out of seeing me suffer. I was raised in a chaotic family. I was taught to keep what happens at home in the house. I have lived with PTSD and anxiety most of my life. I felt fearful that no one cared or has their own problems. I didn't want to bother anyone. I felt like a burden my whole life. He had me believing he was the only one that really cares. I didn't think anyone would believe me. He had people fooled with his Mr. Nice Guy act. If it fooled me, why wouldn't it fool everyone else?
I left that situation with the clothes on my back, no coat, and the shoes on my feet, and went to the coping center in Defiance, and was there for several days and had nowhere to go when I got out of there. And the sanctuary was full, and I didn't have anything. And not even the clothes that were still at the house. I had the clothes on my back. And coping center told me to call. The last place I called was, at the time, Sarah's house. I called here and he said they didn't have an opening, and I think they called back that there was an opening coming up and that they could keep me, or place me. And I left the coping center, again with no clothes, nothing, no money, no nothing, and came here, and they put me in an apartment. And that was probably the biggest thing that saved my life. And for I don't know how long, but it seemed like forever, but I would come up and talk to Katie and just cry, and she would just let me cry and let me be me and let me speak what happened to me, and because I hadn't shared with anybody what had happened to me. And she let me do those things until I could start getting stronger. And I think the biggest thing they did for me was when I was in that situation, I didn't have any money. Any money that I had went to them. And so I didn't have my hair cut for a really long time. It was very, very long. And they gave us Christmas presents from here, and one of them was a gift certificate from one of the local places here on the square. And I went and got my hair cut. I walked back down here and I came in and I showed Katie my hair, and she said that I didn't look like the same person who left here because I had just a silly little thing, trivial little thing, but it meant so much. It just gave me so much of my dignity and feeling somewhat okay about myself back. And I remember I was so happy and I was smiling, and I hadn't smiled in a long, long time.
Before I left, I decided to make a plan. I met with Katie and asked many questions. I figured maybe I can finally do this. I decided to message a close friend and open up. She picked me up with all of my stuff and took me to my aunt's house. I had messaged her earlier that day. I stayed with her for about a month, where I continued to reach out to Sarah's friends. Every day is a challenge, from the moment I wake up until the moment I fall asleep at night. But now I have hope and faith, something I've been afraid to completely lose this whole time. I volunteer with Grace Church again, something I love doing. I'm a regular attendee also. For almost 5 years, I was never really allowed to do anything that helped me grow or help others. I realized that I have a very good support system with members and friends of my church.
I lived here from October until I think March, the end of March the next year. You know, I just know that I may not have made it because I was very suicidal when I got here, because I really didn't think I had anything to live for anymore. And they helped me to understand and helped me to see that I had a lot to live for, and that person was for myself. And my life has changed immensely since I came here. And I will never, ever be able to pay it forward back enough to what they gave me. And I'm just extremely, extremely, extremely grateful for everything they did. They helped me get clothes. They helped me with a bed. I didn't even have a bed. And they helped me find an apartment. And they encouraged me to help me find it and help me find one. And I finally moved out, and it was the biggest day of my life, I felt like. Without Sarah's friends, I wouldn't be here. I just know I wouldn't.
Abuse is never okay. If you feel constantly on edge or feel fearful, that is not healthy. Reach out. Tell someone you trust. If someone reaches out for help, don't dismiss them. You are never as alone as you feel. Your life is important. You have a purpose. Keep fighting. Never give up.